Hi guys, just thought I'd do another little Q&A. I did 30 questions the last time. I just thought I'd do some more, probably more for my own purposes, so I can have it to look back on, or Isaac can watch it when he's a bit older, but I'm sure if you want to play along, by all means. The questions are, the link is in my last Q&A. Let me see, I'll just read down some of these until I either get bored or think I've bored you sufficiently. So do you like pets? Of course I like pets. Who doesn't like pets? Dogs is my favourite animal. Well, pet animal. So do you have any pets? Yes, we have little Molly. She's 4 and she's a little Yorkshire Terrier, and we have 3 fishies. We did have 4, but unfortunately now we only have 3. What is the name of your first pet? It's either Sandy, who was a dog we got when I was a child, or it's probably more Touche, who was a terrapin that my family got. I think there was a cartoon once called Touche Turtle. Correct me if I'm wrong, and that's where the name comes from. What is your best physical feature? Oh, I hate questions like this. I'm not going to pick something that I think, because I'm not the biggest fan of my appearance. So I've been told smile because I've got straight teeth, so we'll go with smile. What is your biggest accomplishment? Ooh. I would say being a mum, but not just, you know, that sort of happens with no... Well, I was very, very, very ill when I was pregnant with Isaac, hospitalised quite a few times with severe hyperemesis. Not what Will's wife had, because she was ill for a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks. I was 3 stones lighter on the day that I gave birth than I was before I got pregnant, so thankfully there was quite a bit to lose, but it's just as well. Basically, if you're sick enough and you don't eat enough, your body goes into starvation mode and starts to attack parts it shouldn't, and you produce ketones. And my ketones were always sky high, so they had to keep putting me in hospital and putting me on drips to try and get me stabilised. So getting through that was hard, was difficult. I couldn't socialise, I didn't want to talk on the phone. It was awful. I couldn't work, I had to leave my job, and even I couldn't go on a computer, read a book, because I felt just awful all of the time. That feeling just before you're physically sick, where you think, oh, I just want to be sick, I felt like that for about 7 months. It was a nightmare. So I think getting through that probably is my biggest accomplishment. What is your eye colour? Grey blue. When I'm in a foul mood, they're grey. When I'm in a very good mood, they are like a bit greeny blue, and normally they're like a grey blue. What's your favourite colour? Red. What's your favourite fairy tale? Oh. When I looked at this originally, I was thinking Disney, but then that's not... It doesn't have to be Disney, does it? If it was Disney, it's Cinderella. Fairy tale. I loved fairy tales as a child. Oh, there was one. Maybe someone will know what this one was called, where a boy had to go into rooms to get gold, but each room he went in had a more massive dog than the last one, with eyes like saucers and eyes like plates, and just like big scary dogs sitting on top of this gold. I just always found it just riveting when I was a kid. And Rumpelstiltskin, I do like that. What is your favourite nickname? I don't have one. What is your favourite ice cream flavour? That's a toss-up between chocolate and mint choc chip. And I like honeycomb as well. Probably chocolate. What's your favourite music genre? Alternative rock, metal, some goth, Not a fan of thrash metal, black metal, doom metal. Classic stuff, and a bit on the gothic side as well, but that's about it. I like a lot of stuff. As I've got older, my taste has broadened somewhat, but I'm a rock chick at heart. What is your favourite quote? Now this is too difficult because you'd really have to sit and look up a lot of quotes, or there's some I know that I like. They're too long to remember fully. I've always liked the night is darkest just before the dawn from The Dark Knight, and You Were Born an Original, Don't Die a Copy has always been a favourite. That's an anonymous one. And there was one from the movie, now this isn't going to be exactly right, but I've done that thing where I can't remember the name of the movie. It's about people thinking they can't make a difference because they're only a tiny person in a massive world, and the quote is something along the line of, an ocean is made up of millions of individual tiny drops. So if it, more or less, if enough people want to make a difference, you can make a difference. What was the film? Oh no. I'll link it. I'll put it along the bottom with the actual quote as well. What's your favourite type of clothing? Casual, comfortable. It used to be more gothy type stuff, more rock type stuff like PVC and like long skirt, like gypsy skirts and new rocks and all that sort of thing. But these days, if it's comfortable, I'll wear it. What's your most commonly used swear word? Oh dear. I'm not going to say it. It's probably the F word. It's not the C word, so that's the main thing. What is your star sign? Sagittarius. I don't put a lot of interest in star signs. Do you have a best friend? If so, who? Yes. I've mentioned her a few times. My best friend's called Kelly. She lives in Nottingham with her partner Dave. She was maid of honour, bridesmaid / whatever it is at my wedding. I've known her now for 11 years, I think. I met her in Rock City on my 31st birthday, or as I called it, my 30th plus 1 birthday, because I didn't have a big 30th like night out. So we did for my 31st, and it was like a movie themed fancy dress. And I met her that night, and I remember her saying to me, I can't remember who said to who, but I'm awfully socially inept. I find it really difficult to talk to people, and I dry up really quickly. I don't know what to say. And I think Kelly said to me, I never know what to say in these situations. And I thought, oh, someone just like me that just comes straight out with it, and I liked her instantly. We've been friends ever since through an awful lot of crap and a lot of letdowns from a lot of friends on both our parts. You do really find out who your friends are as you get older, and there's been a lot of letdowns friends-wise in my life, and she's the only one that has been there 100%, start to finish, is always there for me. So yes, that's who my best friend is. Do you have a tattoo? Yes, I've got 5 tattoos. I've got a shamrock, which was my first one. I'll maybe link pictures to them. I have Isaac's name on my wrist. I have a Marilyn Manson tattoo on the back of my neck with Darren's name. I've got a Backyard Baby skull with my favourite quote from that song. And I have the Queen caricatures from the album Hot Space as well. And I'm planning a few more. Do you have any allergies? No. Do you have any birthmarks? If so, where? Kind of. Something called a strawberry birthmark. My granddad had the same thing. It's on the back of my neck. It's just like a funny red, just a bit of redness, like sort of under my hairline and just below. Do you hold any convictions that you would be willing to die for? That's heavy. Oh, I'm gonna say no. I feel very, very, very strongly about a lot of things in life, but not more than wanting to make my son motherless. I would die for my family. I would, my son. But for an opinion, for a conviction, I'll argue it to the death, but I wouldn't die for it, because that would just... it would just be not thinking about my son's future, so no. That's probably not going to be a popular answer. Do you prefer kissing or cuddling? Cuddling, probably. What piece of technology can you not live without? I think we had one like this before, and it was my phone. Oh, I was tempted to say a telly, because movies, but no, because then I wouldn't be able to keep in touch with anyone, so I'll stay with the phone. What was the first concert you ever attended? That was Brian May, Back to the Light tour for my 18th birthday. I wasn't allowed to go to gigs before that. So my parents bought me the ticket for Brian May for my 18th. What was your favourite subject in high school? German. I'm a big fan of language. We did Irish for a year, and then we had the choice. You can keep it on, you can drop it and do German. Irish, while culturally maybe interesting, it was never going to do me any good, if you know what I mean. I couldn't use it, so I started German. I did French at the same time, vastly preferred German to French. And then while I was doing my A-levels, we got to pick like a side GCSE if we wanted, so I did Spanish, which is a beautiful language. So, but German, and she was my favourite teacher, my German teacher, Mrs. Fraser. She was Scottish and wonderful. What was your first job? It was in a big local department store, very close to my parents' home. Just as going about all the different departments, floating as they called it, like toys and gifts and stationery and blah blah, just all around the place. What was your least favourite subject in high school? This is difficult. It was geography, but because of the teacher. I had the same teacher for a couple of years, and he was one of those teachers that instilled the fear of God into you. He was terrifying. He used to go around the class one at a time asking questions that I never knew the answer to, because I was too shy to ask for something to be explained that everyone else seemed to understand. So we had 3 rows. There was the front row of boys that were mostly from farming backgrounds and were pretty au fait with what he was talking about. There was the middle row, which was half boys that knew what was going on, and then half people that were not too sure what's happening here. I was the first person in that line of people, sitting beside someone that was bright, and in the row behind me was people that just, their brain was somewhere else. So I went from, I did okay in my exams at school, but having that teacher, I was getting C's, I was getting 50 odd %, which is, for me, was not good. And we changed teacher in 3rd year, and I went from 50 odd % up to 86% in 1 year. It's still not fantastic, it's not an A, but it just goes to show the importance of a good teacher, of not intimidating your pupils to that level. He was terrifying, really was. He really held me back in that subject. If I had have had another teacher, it probably wouldn't have been geography. Home economics, really. What's the furthest you've ever been from home? I haven't travelled very much. The furthest I've been from home is Prague. The only places I've been is Prague, Germany, Austria, France, and obviously all over the UK, but never outside of that. What's your biggest fear? Same as most people's, it's losing some member of my family. I think when you become a parent, you you like constantly worry that something's going to happen to your child. You do silly things like, you know, before you go to bed, you go and check and make sure they're breathing and all sorts of daft, stupid things. So that's my biggest fear. When did you suffer your first heartbreak? Well, there's a difference between when you do and when you think you do. I thought I did when I was about 15. If you watched my last Q&A, that aforementioned boyfriend that was very innocent, holding hands and having a kiss, when we split up, but when you look back as an adult, you realise that no, it wasn't love. It was puppy love, I suppose. First proper heartbreak would have been when I was 20, and the person I was with, we'd been together just under a year, coming up to being a year together, and he split up with me, and I was absolutely devastated. But looking back, when I got older, there was an awful lot going on in my personal life at home with my family. There were deaths in the family, and I was a cow, to be quite honest. I just was grumpy, I was moody, and I don't blame the guy. You know, he did the right thing. When was the first time you were on a plane? That was when I was about 15 to go to Germany with school. When was the last time you cried? What did I say at this? I cried at Coco, which was maybe 3 weeks ago, and I had an eye-watery moment at Early Man. But if you put me in front of a movie, I'm gonna cry at it. It's cried properly. That wasn't to do with TV or something. Would have been on. It was the weekend leading up to Christmas Day. I was in bed with I had a migraine for 4 days, and I've never childbirth, nowhere near it. Gallbladder surgery, gallbladder stones, you name it, nothing touches the pain of these migraines. Oh, I cried that day. That's actually the only time I've ever cried from physical pain, was then. When was the last time you got in a fist fight? Never. Who has left the most impact on your life? Oh, that's interesting. It says left the most impact, insinuating are they no longer here? I'm going to say, it's maybe not the right answer, I'm going to say Isaac, because he would be what makes me think about my behaviour, about decisions I make, about why I do certain things, why I don't do certain things. Yeah, so he's had the biggest impact on my life. Who's the best teacher you ever had? I said earlier, my German teacher, Mrs. Fraser. She was really funny, really smart, really kind, just a lovely teacher. Who's the first person you call when something exciting happens? I don't like the phone. I do not call anyone. I'm sort of like forced into calling my mum maybe once a week, or she calls me, but I hate the telephone. I just do not speak to people on the telephone. I'll send an email, I'll send a text. I don't speak to people on the phone, but it would be Darren, would be the first person I would tell. Who is the first person you call when something horrible happens? Same thing, would be Darren. Who's your favourite musician? Musician? I'm going to say Freddie Mercury. Musician, vocalist, writer, just everything. Who is your role model? Oh, I can't say I've got a specific role model in mind that I just try to be the best me I can be. But I don't have a role model as such. Who was your first boyfriend? Stroke girlfriend. Boyfriend, his name was Roy. I was 13, he was 17, which is a bit questionable when you think about it now. But like I say, no funny business went on. It was all very innocent. And he was the guy, did I say before, that wore the full Manchester United strip, including socks and shorts, and that was him. Who was your first celebrity crush? I remember having a crush on Eric Estrada from Chips, and I remember having a crush on Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap. Mike, what's his name? Hoff. The Hoff, what's his name? That's not coming to me. Something Hoffman. The Hoff. But only in Knight Rider, in nothing else. Who is your favourite actor? I've got so many, but Anthony Hopkins is right up there. I'm a big fan. Steve Buscemi I love. Jack Nicholson I love. There's loads. It's really hard to just choose one. And even though it gets a really hard time, I do really like Tom Cruise. Who's your favourite actress? Again, there's so many. Angelina Jolie, Helen Hunt, what do you call that woman that was in Mrs. Brown? Oh God. Her Majesty Mrs. Brown, you know, what's her name? You know the one I mean. Yeah, her. And her with the red hair that did, oh this is terrible, I'm sorry. That did the movie that she won awards where she had dementia. You're probably shouting her name at the screen, aren't you? I'll put that on the screen when I figure her name out. Describe yourself in a single sentence. No, I can't. I'm not going to try to. Have you ever dated two people at the same time? No. Have you ever suffered a fracture? Yes. I never broke a bone up until I was 27, I want to say 28, 27, 28. I rather spectacularly tripped on a top step in work. Not carpeted steps, hard rimmed steps. And didn't know this at the time, but going back and looking at the wall after the event, I did a somersault and my head went over my feet. And I went down 26, 28 steps and landed on my face at the bottom. Now, how I didn't break my neck, and the doctor said how you did not break your neck, is just, I don't know how. I broke my nose. But apart from that and a lot of bruises and, you know, a bit of tears here and there, that was it. And they sort of put down me having joint hypermobility disorder, which means my joints give a little bit more than they should, and we think that's what saved the old bones. And the other time was was I married at the time? I'm not sure. Yes, it was between getting married and having Isaac, I think. No, it wasn't. It was before I got married, very shortly before I got married, which would have been about 8 years ago. And I went over on my ankle on the way to work, and the bottom of the bone that joins your ankle, what is it, your tibia and fibia at the bottom? Am I getting the right ones? Or am I talking about arms? Yeah, tibia and fibia, I'm sure it is. The outer bone on the outside hit the ground and a piece cracked off. That was rather unpleasant. I had to go to work. I had to go to the A&E in a taxi and walk myself in and out because no buggers at my workplace would go with me because they were all arseholes. Where am I? Have you ever visited a country outside your continent? No, I haven't, but hope to in a couple of years. How many boyfriends, girlfriends have you had? I'm not answering that question. I'm not going to sit here and do this, you know, but no, too much information. How many relationships have you been in? That's the same as the last question, not answering that one. If you could give your younger self any advice, what would it be? Forget about boys, study harder, stand up for yourself, go to university, do what you have to do. That's it. Last time you swam in a pool? Oh my, that's a few years now. Taking Isaac to the swimming pool maybe 2 years ago would have been the last time. I'm not a very good swimmer. What is the most embarrassing moment? I can't think of one off the top of my head. Oh, once I thought I would spectacularly jump off a wall to grab a what we did a lot growing up. Well, I was in my late teens, so I wasn't a kid. Jump in to grab, you know, like one of those swing things, like a stick on a rope that's like this, and you swing on it. And I jumped off the wall, Superman style, to grab the end of this rope and missed it and fell spectacularly flat on my face in the mud with lots of people watching. That was rather embarrassing. It's probably worse than that, but that's all I could. Oh, and I ripped my trousers once at work. Working in Blockbuster, having to bend up and down a lot, ripping the arse out of my trousers and having to work there for the rest of the day with the arse ripped out of my trousers. Not good. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, rate your fashion sense. 1. I don't care about fashion. Don't care. Not interested. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest and 1, rate your driving skills. I'm going to say 9. I think I'm a pretty good driver. Rate your cooking skills. 6. It's not awful. It's not fantastic. If you asked me to rate my baking skills, that's another question. That would be a 1. As those lovely brownies attest to, that I followed Chris and Victoria's recipe and completely ballsed the whole thing up. Scale of 1 to 10, how good a kisser are you? Not answering that question, it's not up to me. One thing you know now that you wish you had known as a kid. Everything. The importance of education, the value of money, how much things cost, that your worth is not to be judged on. I can just hear Darren shouting at Isaac, put your slippers on, Jesus. So he's going to be coming to bed in a minute. Don't judge your worth on other people. It's not important how popular you are, what the in crowd think of you at school, whether you're in a clique of women at work, which I was always outside of. It's not important. Just be true to yourself, be your best that you can be, and you'll find those people in life that you click with. That's all that's important. First app you check when you wake up in the morning. I don't really check the internet when I wake up. I first check it when I sit down and have a spare moment later in the day, so it's probably at least mid-afternoon before I look at my phone, maybe tea time. What are some of your bad habits? I bite my nails. I scratch my head too much. I'm always scratching. If I've got scabs, I'm always picking. What else? Can you say I'm really impatient? Is that a bad habit? That's a bad quality, really, isn't it? I can't think of it. There's probably loads, but I'm trying to differentiate between habits and qualities. I sing all the time to music in the car, which probably really irritates people that are trying to listen to it, but I can't help it. What are your favourite things about yourself? I hate these questions. The one thing I'll say 2 things. I'm honest and I'm loyal. I won't go out of my way to hurt someone. You know, you have those people that say, oh, but I'm honest, and their viewpoint of honesty is just to be hurtful and nasty and vindictive when they've no reason to be. I'm honest if I feel it's important to be honest. I have lost a couple of friendships for exactly that reason, but was it really a good friendship to start with if what you've had to say is really important to have to be said? So honesty and loyalty. If a friend's good to me, has my best interests at heart and doesn't mess me around, I will be loyal to a fault. What are your hobbies? I think I answered that in the last one. Movies, Netflix shows, play guitar a bit. I used to like to write a lot, haven't done in a long time, really want to get back to it. I've just come downstairs, spot Molly dog, sitting where she knows she's not meant to be sitting, in her jumper. What are you doing? Are you on the sofa? Are you on the sofa? Yes, you are. Just had a little move downstairs. Darren's taking Isaac up to bed tonight because I got up at scrack this morning with him. And so I think I've only got like 4 questions left, so I'm going to finish them here. Country I would like to visit, America definitely. I'm hoping to get to Florida next year. Next year. We had, I shouldn't waffle about Disney, but I'm going to waffle a bit about Disney. We had planned to go in 2019 for the opening of Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars land sort of thing. But I've since found out, Chris let me know that there is a rumour that it's maybe not going to open until right at the end of the year, or even possibly 2020, because it's quite a common thing for Disney to do. And have recently read that one of the building or the construction work permissions has been changed. The date's been changed on there from the 26th of September to the 26th of December 2019, which makes me think, are they planning to open it for Christmas next year? Just to be able to say that they did it in 2019. But we thought, should we wait for another year or should we just go? So we decided that we'll probably still just go. And if we can do it, which fingers crossed, we'll see, if we can manage to save enough money to go back in 2-3 years' time. Isaac will then be 11 or 12, 10 or 11, so perfect age to go on everything. So there's enough Star Wars stuff there as it is, and hopefully we'll get to go twice, but it's dependent on saving really, because it's very expensive. And it's difficult because Darren's from Yorkshire, so while we've been saving, we haven't been able to afford to get over to see family or anything, so that puts scuppers on things a bit, really does. 2 questions left. What do you consider unforgivable? I've forgiven quite a lot, it has to be said, in life from people. I've given quite a few second chances, sometimes third chances. Unforgivable, obviously certain criminal acts are unforgivable. Really, like heinous ones, just forget it. I don't care who you are, you commit certain things, then not interested. I won't say in all cases infidelity is unforgivable, because I think it's not something I would condone, it's not something I would do, but I think if you're married, and especially if you've got kids and you've invested yourself in a relationship for years, does one mistake, is it worth throwing all that away for one silly mistake? I suppose it depends on the circumstances. Unforgivable to me, I suppose, is physically or emotionally hurting someone else intentionally. Intentionally wanting to do others harm, to me, is unforgivable. What do you do for a living? Oh, there's a high point to end it on. I had to stop work, Isaac's what age? 7 years ago, due to hyperemesis originally from being pregnant. After having work, I went back to after having Isaac, I went back to work for a few months, but physically, the fibromyalgia and ME just floored me completely. Just, my health for the past few years has been terrible. Thankfully, in the last 6 months or so, a bit more actually, I've been able to do some part-time work from home. Someone approached me that I used to work with, and offered me a little bit of work from home that I can do in hours that I choose to suit me, which is fantastic, because some days I'm just not able to do anything, and some days I'm a bit better, and I'm never good in the morning, so this way I can do work in mid to late afternoon, I can have 2 days off, or I can work 3 days in a row, whatever suits me and how I feel really. So that's been amazing, that's been fantastic. But I really would like to get back to something, but at the moment health just does not permit it. So I think that's it. I've actually went through all 95 questions, so that's 65 questions this time. I do apologise. Hopefully you learned something, you find something of interest. I'd be really interested to hear anyone else's Q&As, any of the questions they want to pick out themselves. So adios from Lisa Loves, and see you all next time. Bye!